Part 3. To lengthen Thai, lessen Thai meals. Benjamin Franklin. After the 10th week, Colonel Bradford no longer attended each meeting, but did keep up his interest in the Himalayan Club. From time to time, he would speak to the group on various helpful subjects, and occasionally members of the group asked advice on something in particular. For example, several of us were especially interested in diet and the tremendously important role that food plays in our lives. There were differing views on the subject, and so we decided to ask Colonel Bradford to describe to us the Lama's diet and their policy concerning foods. In the Himalayan monastery, where I was neophyte, said the colonel, when he spoke to us the following week, there are no problems concerning the right foods, nor in getting sufficient quantities of food. Each of the lamas does his share of work in producing what is needed. All the work is done in the most primitive way. Even the soil is spreaded by hand. Of course, the lamas could use oxen and plows if they wished, but they prefer direct contact with the soil. They feel that handling and working the soil adds something to one's existence. I personally found it to be a thoroughly rewarding experience. It contributes to a feeling of oneness with nature. Now, it is true that the lamas are vegetarian, but not strictly so. They do use eggs, butters, and cheese in quantities sufficient to serve certain functions of the brain, body, and nervous system. However, they do not eat flesh. For the lamas, who are strong and healthy and who practice rite number 6, seem to have no need of meat, fish, or fowl. Like myself, most of those who joined the ranks of lamas were men of the world who knew little about proper food and diet. But not long after coming to the monastery, they invariably begin to show wonderful signs of physical improvement. And this was due in part at least to their diet there. No lama is choosy about what he eats. He can't be because there is little to choose from. A lama's diet consists of good, wholesome food, but as a rule it consists of only one item of food at a meal. That in itself is an important secret of health. Different types of food, for example, starches and proteins, require completely different digestive processes in the stomach. So if a starch such as bread is eaten together with a protein such as meat, each one interferes with the digestion of the other. The end result is that neither the bread nor the meat is fully digested. A good part of the food's nutritional value is lost. Bloating and physical distress occur, and valuable energy, which could be put to be a better use, is depleted in the process. If this state of affairs is permitted to continue over a period of years, your digestive system will begin to decline, your general health will suffer, and your life will be shortened. When one eats just one kind of food at a time, there can be no clashing of foods in the stomach. Digestion processes efficiently with little loss of energy, and the body receives more nourishment from less food. Many times in the monastery dining hall, I sat down to the table along with the lamas and ate a meal consisting only of bread. At other times, we ate nothing but fresh vegetables and fruits. At other meals, we ate nothing but cooked vegetables and fruits. At first, I was hungry for my usual diet and the variety of foods which I had been consumed to. But before long, I could eat and enjoy a meal consisting of nothing but dark bread or just one kind of fruit. Sometimes a meal of just one vegetable will seem like a feast. Now, I'm not suggesting that you limit yourself to a diet of just one kind of food per meal, or even that you eliminate meats from your diet, but I will recommend that you keep starches, fruits and vegetables separate from meats, fish and fowl at your meals. In fact, if you wish, you could have several kinds of meat in one meal. And it is all right to eat butter, eggs and cheese with the meat meal or dark bread, and in moderation, coffee or tea. But you must not end up with anything sweet or starch, no pies, cakes or puddings. Butter seems to be a neutral. It can be eaten with either a starch meal or with a protein meal. However, fats in general should be avoided, though not completely eliminated from the diet. The harmful fats are those from animal sources, while the beneficial ones are those contained in seeds, grains, fruits and vegetables. A small amount of butter is permissible, as is lean meat eaten in limited quantities. But it's best to dispense with pork in any form. White sugar, as well as all foods containing white sugar, should be consumed sparingly. Honey and natural sweeteners can be used instead, and even they should be used in moderation. During my stay at monastery, another interesting and useful thing I learned was the proper use of eggs. The lamas would not eat whole eggs unless they had been performing hard manual labor. Then they might eat one whole medium boiled egg, but they would frequently eat raw egg yolks, discarding the whites. At first, it seems to me to be a waste of perfectly good food to throw the whites to the chickens. But then I learned the egg whites are utilized only by the muscles and should not be eaten unless the muscles are exercised. I had always known that egg yolks are nutritious, but I learned of their true value only after talking with another Westerner at the monastery, a man who had a background in biochemistry. He told me that common hen eggs contain full half of the elements required by the brain, nerves, and organs of the body. It is true that these elements are needed only in small quantities, but they must be included in the diet if you are to be exceptionally robust and healthy, both mentally and physically. There is one more very important thing which I learned from the lamas. They taught me the importance of eating slowly, not for the sake of good table manners, but for the purpose of masticating my food more thoroughly. Mastication is the first important step in breaking down food, so that it can be assimilated by the body. Everything one eats should be digested in the mouth before it is digested in the stomach. If you gulp down food, bypassing this vital step, it is literally dynamite when it reaches the stomach. Protein foods such as meat, fish, and fowl require less mastication than complex starches. It is just as well to chew them thoroughly anyway. The more completely food is masticated, the more nourishing it will be. This means that if you thoroughly chew your food, the amount you ate can be reduced often by 1/2. Many things which I had taken for granted before entering the monastery seemed shocking when I left it 2 years later. One of the first things I noticed when I arrived in one of the major cities of India was the large amount of food consumed by everyone who could afford to do so. I saw one man eat in just one meal a quantity of food sufficient to feed and completely nourish 4 hard-working lamas. But of course the lamas will never dream of putting into their stomach the combination of food which this man consumed. The conglomeration of foods in one meal was another thing that appealed me. Having been in the habit of eating 1 or 2 foods at a meal, I was amazed to count 23 variations of food one evening at my host's table. No wonder Westerns have such miserable health. They seem to know little or nothing about the relationship of diet to health and strength. The right foods, the right combinations of food, the right amounts of food, and the right methods of eating combine to produce wonderful results. If you are overweight, it will help you reduce, and if you are underweight, it will help you gain. There are quite a few other points about food and diet that I would like to go into, but time doesn't permit. Just keep in mind these 5 things. Number 1. Never eat starch and meat at the same meal. Though if you are strong and healthy, it need not cause you too much concern now. Number 2. If coffee bothers you, drink it black, using no milk or cream. If it still bothers you, eliminate it from your diet. Number 3. Chew your food to a liquid and cut down on the amount of food you eat. Number 4. Eat raw egg yolks 1 a day, every day. Take them either just before or after meals, not during the meal. Number 5. Reduce the variety of foods you eat in one meal to a minimum. It's a very simple matter to live simply in our complex world, continued Colonel Bradford. Just because the world is a complicated place, you don't have to join in the game. Instead, let simplicity guide you in matters of diet and in all things pertaining to mental and physical well-being.